So we asked you what kind of videos you would like to see on the IELTS Grind, and you told us speaking videos and high-level speaking videos. This is what we're going to be doing today. I will be answering some Part 3 style questions for the IELTS exam, and you'll be listening to what a native would say. What we want you to do today is to listen to how I answer the questions, what kind of vocabulary I use, the grammatical structures, and to use them and steal them yourself. This is a great way to improve your speaking. So let's jump into it.
Let's next consider impatience.
Okay.
In what jobs is impatience a virtue?
That's a very interesting question. I suppose that if you're impatient about a situation, it kind of spurs you on to try and change it. So any sort of job where innovation is necessary. So in modern times, that would certainly be sort of technology companies. So solving a problem with a new device, a new product. So working for a company like Apple, Google, this is where impatience could be a virtue.
What are some situations where people often become impatient?
I would say that in terms of a work environment, impatience could be bred out of waiting on others for them to finish their tasks. So often what happens is before you can do a certain thing, you have to wait for a different department to perhaps send you a document or to complete a study or something like this. So I found that personally, when you're waiting on someone else, it kind of blocks you, and that can be infuriating. In terms of a personal life, impatience can be when you're waiting for someone to arrive before you can leave to go to an event, or perhaps you're going off to work and you're waiting for someone to deliver something or fix something in your house. This has happened to me many times.
And is it socially acceptable to be impatient in these everyday situations that you just mentioned?
To my mind, it's not. You have to kind of almost swallow your anger and not show that you're being impatient. Sometimes people do this passive aggressively, sort of they say snide comments and things to show that they are impatient, but not openly say it. So generally, no, I don't think it's acceptable, but everybody suffers from this.
Why do you think it's not socially acceptable?
Just in my culture, we are always trying to be polite. We're not so open about criticizing people in front of the face. We love to do this behind the back. It's a national pastime, but we wouldn't necessarily do it in front of the face because generally we don't think it's acceptable.
Okay. Do you think that young people are always impatient?
I do think that young people have become impatient, but it's only because of the culture we have. In the past, especially when I was growing up, things like the internet, let's take that for an example. We had what was called dial-up internet. It took a while even to connect to the browser to get things happening. And if you were waiting for a page to sort of to appear, it would kind of almost scroll down slowly. And nowadays we have fast internet. We have one-day delivery, next-day delivery, that sort of thing. So it's almost, if you're waiting any amount of time for any sort of service, you feel entitled to be impatient. So I think this is why the younger generation are suffering from this.
So it's been bred into them.
I don't think it's a matter of breeding. It's a matter of sort of just the world that we live in. It's not that we tell children they should expect this kind of service. It's just that's the reality of the world we live in.
So in the past, let's say 50 to 100 years ago, were younger people impatient?
It's difficult for me to say because obviously I can only rely on historical records. But I do feel like, just from talking to the older generation now, that they didn't expect things to happen so quickly. But every generation has their own version of this. I mean, I imagine when you had first class post where, you know, it took 2 days instead of 5 days for a letter to arrive. That must have felt like, you know, super fast internet to us. So it's all relative, I would say.
What about children? Are children always impatient?
I think so. Children haven't yet learnt that, you know, good things come to those who wait, as the phrase goes. And they don't really understand the idea, for example, with buying products, that you have to exchange money for the product. They just think things appear. And to a certain extent, that's the fault of the parents, of society. And as I said before, as teenagers and young adults, they then learn the reality is everything happens very quickly.
Okay. Thank you very much. That is the end of the speaking test.
Okay. Oh, those were some tough questions there, but this is how I would have answered them as a native speaker. Now take note of the way that I do answer the questions, which is directly with the answer followed by the supporting sentences. I also use plenty of idioms and high-level vocabulary. What I'd like you to do is to go back, look at the video again, and write down all the new words and phrases that you didn't know into your vocabulary notebook. And this way, you're going to be able to use them yourself in the future. So we've got plenty more videos like this. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to give us a like, because it really does help us make better videos and more videos that you do enjoy. And I will see you in a future video. I've been Phil, and this is the IELTS Grind. See you later.